I want to welcome you to the most remarkable journey you will ever take. We have long wondered about the mysteries behind the resurrection of the dead, or the transformation of human to divine. We have asked ourselves these questions. Why am I human? Where are we going as a human race? Why did God create us? In these next 26 weeks, we're going to learn the answers to these questions. We're also going to learn about the powers that lie within us, that creativity that enables us to prophesy, to heal, and to discern. Our sailing vessel that will take us from earth to the heavens is known and called the Nautilus. If you remember, the sea creature is one which always closes and seals off its chambers as it outgrows it and builds a new one. And we must do the same thing, for we must cease being what we are in order to become something different. And like the Nautilus, we must leave behind our old ideas and concepts. So please join me on this very wondrous journey. I'm your hostess, Elizabeth MacDonald Burrows. Welcome to another journey aboard the Nautilus, which will take us, hopefully, from heaven to earth, transform us from human to divine. And I'm certain that we'll all look very beautiful when that time comes that we are wearing our angel wings. We probably wonder about the importance of health and nutrition in our spiritual life. And I think that we've pointed this out before, that Moses taught health and nutrition in Leviticus. There were certain rituals of purification. There were certain foods that people could eat and could not eat. We've also mentioned extensively that from the unknown gospel, the Vatican manuscript, that Jesus spends a great deal of time on teaching mankind how to eat. And we're not going into that again because we have had that. But what we are going into is the world of self-healing. If you remember, in our last episode, we looked at some of the things that were available to us in modern world which would help us in our healing process. These were natural things, many of them available in even grocery stores or supermarkets of today's world, and certainly in our health food restaurants. We are becoming more aware that we need to eat more healthy, that we can prevent a lot of our illnesses. It's always interesting to me to note that after the holidays, we start a round of viruses. They really start as the fall weather comes in, and we kind of go from warm one day and cold the next day. And we don't dress for those changes of temperature. So as a result, running from our car to office buildings, not getting enough fresh air, and perhaps not even exercising, we just don't stand much of a chance, and these viruses start to move in. But they really come with full impact after Halloween. We allow our children to go out and to get bagfuls of candy and to eat sugar, which of course is a drug. And as a result of this, a great amount of sugar, the children began to get ill. They pass the viruses on to their parents. The parents take them to the offices. Pretty soon the viruses are all over the offices, as well as in the home, in the daycare centers, and everywhere we go. People are coughing and hacking. Well, we just about get over that, and then we go and eat all of our rich food of Thanksgiving. I'm not saying we should ruin Thanksgiving and Christmas and children's Halloween, but I am saying to us that we need to take a bit more care. We can cook almost everything that we normally cook in a Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner, but we can do it in a healthy way. We can make it very flavorful with natural herbs and spices. We can take and not use our canned foods, but get our cook it with our own hands, not go in and buy our dressing, but create our own dressings made with onions and celery and mushrooms and things like this, chopped mushrooms. As a vegetarian, of course, I make my dressing with portobello mushroom. I season this in a garlic, saute it in garlic, and then put it in the dressing. And you really don't miss the turkey giblets. But you can still have those giblets, but you need to look at making things just a little bit more healthy than perhaps you're used to. So we go another round of viruses after Thanksgiving, and then, of course, after the Christmas holidays, here we go again. And then just about the time summer comes, we have our last and final round in spring cleanup, because as spring starts to purify all of earth, it also begins to purify us. So in preparation for summer, and this is a very natural process. So when we look at illness and self-healing, we want to look to a certain degree to prevention. And prevention means eating in a healthy lifestyle. This doesn't mean that we can't deviate once in a while, but it does mean that, for most part, we eat in a healthy manner. And as a result of this, we stay healthier, and as we stay healthier, we don't pass our conditions on to other people. And I know when I walk into line in a department store or a post office or a grocery store, and everyone's coughing and sneezing, that it isn't I who is passing this virus, and I'm not the culprit that gives it to myself, but it's very easy to pick up from other people. And so what I want to talk about a little bit before we go into the world of natural healing or spiritual healing, of where we actually administer to ourselves healing treatments, we need to know some of the precautions. Not necessarily are we going to cover food, but I am going to give you some tips in how to create a short-lived virus, meaning that we don't have to have a virus for 11 or 12 or 14 or 15 or 30 days if we will just do something about it when we first come down with it. But before we go into that part and later into spiritual healing treatments, I want to read to you just a little bit out of Jesus's teachings on health and nutrition. I tell you truly, all must be born again of sun and of truth. For your bodies bask in the sunlight of your earthly mother, and your spirit bask in the sunlight of truth of the Heavenly Father. The angels of air and water and sunlight are brethren. They are given to the Son of Man that they might serve him, and that he might go away from one to another. Holy likewise is their embrace. They are indivisible children of an earthly mother. So do not put asunder those whom earth and heaven have made one. Let these three brother angels enfold you every day, and let them abide with you through your purifications. For I tell you truly, the power of diseases and uncleanness shall depart in haste from that body which is embraced from these angels. And that's what we want to say, is these common viruses and flus that are plague us so much during the winter months. We can shorten the term of those. Let's take, for instance, at night you should always sleep with fresh air. Your heat should be off. You should not sleep in a warm room. We're not saying that the fresh air that comes in should be over your head, but as we prepare for healing treatments, or as we try to do some prevention in getting ill, fresh air is, in essence, tremendously important to us. Jesus has just said air, water, and sunshine are important tools to our remaining healthy, or to get the diseases to depart in haste. So if your window by your bed is at the foot of your bed, or at the end of your bed, or just any place but directly over your head, and why is that? Well, you see, when we breathe with our mouth open. And it is probably for that reason that we kind of snore too from time to time. But we have bristles in our nose that warms the air that we breathe in. When we breathe with our mouth open, of course, there's no protection. So, of course, viruses come in to often begin to come into the throat and into the lungs. So for this reason, because we don't have that kind of protection, it is best not to have cold air coming in directly on the face or the throat. But we should have a little bit of cold air circulating in the room through our period of sleep. And this means keeping a window open where possible, even if only a little ways. I sleep with warm covers, so I have my window open this much, and if the wind is not blowing, I have the other one open too. So that there's plenty of fresh air. Because the body will regenerate itself while we sleep. With our consciousness out of the body and not contained in it, directing the traffic of the cells, the body naturally responds to the air and regenerates itself during our period, to some degree, during our period of sleep. We also should not sleep with electric blankets. That's very serious, a very serious suggestion, because we are plagued by elemental low frequencies of power lines that are around us, radiation that comes from our microwave ovens, from fluorescent lightings. And because of this, we don't need to further compound elemental low frequency by the use of electric blankets. You can have an electric blanket or electric sheet. You can pre-warm your bed if you want to, so it's warm and comfortable when you get in on a cold winter's night, but then turn it off during the period of your sleep, because actually electric blanket or electric sheet draws the energy from the body. Whenever I have been in a situation of being in someone's home when I was traveling and they had this, I found I was totally void of energy the next morning. It just seemed to take everything out of me, although I certainly slept warm, and it's much better to sleep that way than to sleep cold. So try to look at alternatives. For instance, you don't really need to warm your bed up nearly as much if you use flannel sheets in the winter time. And when you get flannel sheets, get a good quality 5 or 5.0 or above, so that there's 5.0, there's 5.4, and there's 6.0. These sheets will last you. They will get softer with the washings, and they will endure in their softness for a long period of time. If you get the cheaper flannel sheets, they're not going to last as long. So, and also there are down comforters, very light, very warm, and for those who are against the use of any animal product, there's synthetic downs that are very wonderful to use, and you hardly know the difference. And you can always just buy a nice, beautiful satin sleeping bag and unzip it and put that over for a comforter or a quilt. They're fabulously warm. And so we need to be warm, and we need to be comfortable. But our covers also should be light. When we put lots and lots of layers over us, it's very hard for us to turn over at night, and we wear the body out, and we're just simply more tired in the morning because of the energy. We turn many times in our sleep, and when we're turning over underneath a massive layer of covers, we're really exhausting ourselves. So if you will go for very light synthetic or down products that weigh almost nothing but keep you very, very warm, then this will not happen. And it's necessary, if we're ill, to think of these things, because we don't want our energy expended on turning over under a lot of heavy covers when we're sick. We don't want our energy expended when we're ill by being absorbed by electric blankets, and our own bodies perhaps being absorbing elemental low frequency vibrations and so on. So this is important to us in getting well as staying well. Another very important thing to remember is that we just don't keep ourselves clean enough when we have a virus. And now we're talking about illness. We're not talking about our average day-to-day living, because we're very clean. We take showers every day, baths every day, hot tubs. I mean, swimming. We're very clean. But when we have a virus, we're not. And by this I mean we don't wash the clothes that we wear each night. We don't wash the bedding that we sleep in each night during our illness. It's a great nuisance. But you have to remember the bedding, our pillows, our sheets, everything absorbs the virus. So we contain this virus around us, and that makes it much, much more difficult to get rid of. And we should not put our clothes in a hamper in a closet, because once again we're putting that virus in a breeding ground where it can continue to exist and dwell in the house. So in order to eliminate that, we need to be certain that when we take our clothes off during a time of flu and virus to be washed, we put them in a plastic bag and we tie that plastic bag until we can move that down and put it into the laundry. One thing I have found in becoming ill is that I prepare myself. When I find that I am ill, I say, okay, this has happened to me. It will take me some time to get a hold of this. So I make up my mind to enjoy it. This is a time that I can rest a little bit more than I can normally rest. This is a time I can drink all those wonderful fruit juices. And of course, my favorite one is a third grapefruit and 2/3 orange juice, and I like it really cold. Lots of water, and of course, vitamin C. And the vitamin C you take should be the kind that enters the body instantaneously, very much like the homeopathic remedy that we talked about in our last episode. So there is a vitamin C called Emergen-C. They come in little packets, Emergen-C. You can get them at your health food store, and many times you can get them at your local supermarkets. They come in boxes, and they may seem a little expensive, but they aren't. An ounce of prevention is worth measurable money, you know. If we can catch these viruses at the first symptom, sometimes we can actually transmute them and run them off. So these little packets are easy to carry in the purse, so that you always have a couple of them. 2 packages during the day is 3,330% vitamin C. And that's a very high potency. And we take one mid-morning and one mid-afternoon through the duration of the virus, unless we had decided that we were going to take homeopathic remedies. And so vitamin C, and also a magic elixir, which it takes a little getting used to, I'm afraid, called acidophilus. I like Continental, plain acidophilus. I'm not trying to promote a brand. I'm just telling you what I like best. But there are flavored, and maybe that's easier for you to take. But acidophilus is a culture that actually kills off bacteria. And I look at acidophilus as being a rather natural antibiotic and actually I almost felt I discovered it, but of course they say that we never discover anything new. I had learned about acidophilus being helpful in digestion, and that it was recommended a table or 2 tablespoons after we eat. I thought, if it's good for digestion and if it destroys then the bad bacteria or things like this that is in our colon, then surely it would do this for a virus. So I had a sore throat many years ago, and I took the acidophilus and I gargled with the acidophilus, and the sore throat went away. And how many times I've run a virus off that was coming in, because you can feel them coming in. When you start feeling a little, the throat has a little tickle, or it has a little sore spot, or you feel a heaviness, or you feel kind of tired and heavy, you may have a virus or flu bug coming in, because you can feel them when they come in. So during the illness, I take acidophilus. I usually recommend about this much in a glass every 4 hours, just as though you were taking an actual antibiotic. You only take this for about 3 days. You don't keep on taking it, because if you were to keep on taking it for 6 months or so, you'd even much sooner, you would develop the viral symptoms from it. But as it is, it really does go in there with its own army to destroy and to work against the virus or the flu bug. And I'm not saying that flu is not a virus, but anyway, to work against these, where when we take an antibiotic given to us through allopathic medicine, then it takes from the body and uses facilities already there to help combat the virus. So after a series of antibiotics, we are then often very vulnerable to either other illnesses or to, once again, within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, to perhaps come down with another antibiotic. This does not happen with acidophilus, but you can expect it to taste like sour lemon juice. It takes a bit of getting used to. I don't mind it because I've used it for many years. But you might keep these things in mind if you come down with a virus, to aid and to get over it quicker. To have fresh air coming in every night. If you can't wash your sheets every night, you leave your bed turned back under open windows while you go to work. If you're afraid someone's going to come into those open windows and steal something while you're gone, then you can actually put a couple raise the windows enough that someone can't get in, and just put a couple nails where the window raises and to block it so it cannot be raised. So there are things that we can do that aid and abet us. And those are some of the things that I look at as I prepare for spiritual healing. One of the things as we do prepare that we want to remember is dress loosely, dress in attire that's very comfortable. And that reminds me, don't stay in your pajamas and stay in bed all day when you're sick. Try, if you're not dying, get up, wash your face and hands, preferably take a shower, and believe it or not, wash your hair, because the hair also is just a breeding ground for a virus. The virus usually comes in and as it kind of almost encircles us. It almost feels like an entity creeping into the cells. The hair just simply becomes such a breeding ground for this. And dress. You can dress casually, you can dress comfortably, and make sure that you stay warm. But if you will do this and make up your bed, and then lay on top of your bed and throw a warm cover over you, pluff up your pillow, and over here you have your orange juice and your water and your vitamin C and the acidophilus and anything else you can, Kleenex, then you're going to face your virus comfortably and cleanly. The virus just doesn't like a clean atmosphere. I remember here not too long ago having caught a virus, and I think it was about the 3rd or 4th day, I actually felt the virus lift off of me, withdraw. It just couldn't stand the treatment that it was getting. So I talk about viruses, including flu and a multitude of the winter colds and things, because we are plagued with them all winter, and they are common household diseases. These are not the chronic and serious diseases. Now, as we take a look at our chronic diseases or serious diseases, spiritual healing is our #1 healer. We have many types of healing that are pretty rampant in today's world, and we call these healings many names. We may call the energy that we use chi. We may call the healing technique that we use Reiki. We may swing a pendulum over someone, run our hands through the aura, different things like this. But people, there's only one power, and that power is God. And regardless of what we call it, whether we call it chi or we call it Reiki, we're still all using, when we heal, we are all using that one power. Because God is a consciousness, I just don't give him names. I don't call him Reiki, and I don't call him Chi. This is the Spirit of God which permeates everything around us. And when we breathe in, even the breath that we draw in has an essence of life in it, and that essence of life is God. So even that. So when we heal, because God is a consciousness that we can commune with, if we want our healing to be as beautiful and as wondrous as possible, then we will call this healing power God. And we will classify it as spiritual healing or healing with the power of God. When we pray for someone to be healed or lay our hands upon them, we emanate a part of the energy that goes into that person comes from ourselves. We don't necessarily focus on God. When we lay our hands to heal someone, we want God to do it all. And this is fine, and it will work, and I'm not criticizing prayer, and I'm not criticizing the laying of the hands, because there is a transference of energy, probably as much when we pray as there is in the laying of the hands, because as we lay our hands upon someone and we pray, our mind is focused upon God, or it's focused upon Jesus, and as a result of this, our energy in us is increased, which is passed into that person that we are trying to heal. As we go into the world of spiritual healing, I want you to be aware that everything around us is God. And that as we breathe, we're breathing him in. And if we can center in him, in our consciousness, and dissolve self-consciousness, being not aware of anything but him, and being one with him, then the power that flows through our body into people is intensified many times over what it is just laying of the hands and praying that he will do the healing. Yes, we still pray, but with our consciousness centered in him. So I'm going to roll up our chart here of the planets. I'm going to the blackboard to lay out a systematic format for us in spiritual healing. And by the way, it is so beautiful. I believe the healing experience, self-healing or healing another, can be so beautiful as we integrate with God and work together, God and us, to heal ourselves or to heal someone else. Oh, I have seen miracles. I have seen just instantaneous things. I remember conducting a Magic World Healing Clinic in Florida one time. First, of course, the first evening, I prepare a complete dinner like Jesus taught in the Unknown Gospel, cooking nothing. You'd be amazed at the number of entrees and desserts you can do without ever touching a stove. And I mean entrees. And so I prepare usually a raw dinner. And sometimes at these healing clinics we'd have as high as 100 people. And then from then we would talk about, of course, the health and nutritional aspects. The next night I would teach the self-healing techniques that we're going to learn here. And then the last segment of that evening, we would take someone who had a disease or a problem, and we would perform a healing. And it is here that I saw such great and fantastic miracles. But I remember this one night in Florida, I asked at the end of the first night, I said, we need a volunteer to be our patient tomorrow night. I said, we really want someone who is ill, because I think that we should not waste this energy on someone who is well. So a man came up to me and he said that he had just suffered a coronary a short time before, and he would like to be the person to be the recipient of the healing. So I said, of course, and that would be wonderful. And the next night, after we had all learned to heal in a like manner, the man came up and we prepared to lay him out on the healing, on the table to be healed. And he said, young lady, before you do a healing, I think you should know who I am. And he was a doctor. He received one of those marvelous healings. And I want you to know I received $100 a month tithing from that day on until the day that he finally died, which was many years later. So it just was a very beautiful story. So I'm going to remove this, and we're going to try to lay out this plan of spiritual healing in such a systematic order that you will go through the process exactly until it becomes a natural practice for you. And be prepared for miracles. When I say that, I mean be prepared for the fact that you have a virus and you expect it to last 15 days and maybe it'll last 3, and suddenly it's gone and you'll say, what happened, what happened? So even viruses and things like this, I look at those as I look at them as big miracles. I have to tell you, one time I burnt my thumb, and I burnt it terribly. And it was hurting me so bad. And so I thought I must project my thumb because, and I will be teaching this following self-healing, as we may project another person into the consciousness of the angelic kingdom to receive healing. I thought I must project my thumb up to the consciousness of God and have him heal it. So I held my consciousness and went into oneness with God and gave him my thumb in order for that to be healed. And so after a time, I knew that the healing had taken place, and just as I start to walk over the table, this terrible pain goes through my thumb, and I thought, oh, I thought I did better than that. That ended. From the moment that one sharp pain went through my thumb, as though fighting fire with fire, it ended. There was no more pain, and the next day there was not, I think there was only a little tiny blister or something from this tremendously burnt thumb. It's just, I've seen these things, and it's so exciting to me. And although I have been doing these things for 30 years, I will always marvel at the wonders of God, because he is so exciting and so sometimes with a sense of humor, and so kind and loving to each and every one of us. Well, here we go. Remember first that the first thing that we're going to do is to dress in loose-fitting clothes. All right? We want to be comfortable during the process of the healing treatment. We are also going to ensure that we are, unless we're dying. I mean, there are times when we are too sick to get out of bed, and when we can't, we don't. I try to will myself with everything I have to dress, to make my bed, to be clean, because I know that the healing process is just so much more rapid. And I want to get well. I don't like being sick. And so the second thing is to make sure that there is air from an open window. Chuck doesn't want to write too well today for some reason. Okay. And if you can't read my writing, I'm sorry. So it's a little awkward when I'm trying to stretch over here to write. So we want to dress loosely. We want to have air coming in, and then we want to have a warm cover. I like to lay on top of the bed and put a very light, fluffy covering over me, like a synthetic down or something like that. And and fluff up my pillow, because I like to feel when I get ready to greet God and to merge into oneness with Him that I am clean and that it's like floating on clouds. I don't think I've ever gone to sleep at night and not feeling the coziness of these very fluffy quilts and things, that I don't feel almost as if God is covering me with the clouds. So we want a warm cover over us. We can have the room warm, not too warm. We don't want it hot. But we can have warm covers in a warm room. Better to have the room just on the cool side and have the warm cover than to be in a hot room. And another thing that an open window does for us is it not only recirculates the air, but it freshens and purifies. Air purifies. So we have nothing but stale and stagnant air filled with flu, germs and virus and cold virus. The air is going to change that and help to transmute or negate that. After we are comfortable, we're going to do what we call the process of kind of it's a part of self-healing. It's changing and reprogramming the structure of our subconscious mind. So we're going to reprogram through positive thinking. I'll get that out here in a moment. Pre-program. Well, I'm just having a really difficult time writing on the board today. Don't give up. I can't write pre-program. That's the problem. Pre-program our subconscious. You see, we can do the greatest healing in the world and then get up and say, I wonder if I got healed. I wonder if it's working. I still feel sick. I didn't accomplish anything. All this is putting into us a negative concept of accepting and continuing to accept this viral or illness. Let's just call it an illness. This illness that is now besieging us, whether it is a chronic disease or a very serious illness like cancer, leukemia, we can do a lot for, excuse me, we can do a lot for ourselves, even in severe conditions. Pre-programming the subconscious means learning to think properly. So as we're laying there, what I like to do when I've started my self-healing treatment is to relax my body. And as I relax my body, I first pray to God. Oh, Heavenly Father, I am coming to you for a healing treatment, and I am ill. And I know that your Spirit will heal, will touch me, and help me to get well so that I can continue with the life that you have given me. You see, life is very precious. And we grow old very quickly. Years pass so fast when you get older. And you realize what a precious gift life is and how it has been given to us for an opportunity to learn and grow. So we treasure this life and we want to get on with our life so we can continue to learn and continue to serve and continue to smile and be kind to our fellow man and go on with the lessons that we have to learn. So then, and I'm going to emulate exactly what I do, and you should use the word I when you're doing this for yourself so that you will relax the body. I'm laying on the bed. You should have a position that's comfortable. I like to rest flat on my back during a healing treatment because that makes me less, shall I say, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm less apt to go to sleep if I'm laying on my back. So I like to lay as if I'm enveloping the sky and the clouds and the heavens and God. And that I'm here to receive whatever He has chosen to give to me. I am relaxing my body. I am by the shore of the sea, and I can hear the waves lapping upon the shore. And I feel relaxed. I have put my work away so that I can lay here and get well. The sky is above me, light puffy clouds moving against a blue sky. There's a breeze in the green trees, and the grasses of the meadows nourish me. For although I am by the sea, I know that beyond the sand hills are the meadows, the flowers, the trees and the grass. I breathe deeply of the air from the blue skies and of the clouds and of the sea. And I try to breathe in rhythmic harmony with the waves as they lap against the shore. And now I'm one with the sea. I cannot move my body because I'm too relaxed. I feel my shoulders resting on the waves as if they were resting upon the air. I feel my hands, which are usually down at my side. I feel my hands and arms relaxed. And now my legs and feet and back, as I sink into the water itself, floating, drifting on forever with nothing more to do in my life, just to rest. All right, as we have done that, we have taken ourselves into what is called the first step of suggestive healing, programming our subconscious mind to be prepared and receptive for that merger that we're going to have a little later with God. And in doing this, now the next step, as we began to float and to drift, and by the way, I should mention that if you wish, you may have music, but your music should be very selective. There's only certain types of music that you can use in healing. It can be no loud beat, it can be no drums, it has to be soft and gentle. And so for this reason, I actually recommend New Age music when you are trying to do a healing on yourself. There's some beautiful music by particularly Tony O'Connor and Herb Ernst. I think Herb Ernst's Dream Flight trilogy, and particularly his second in the series of the Dream Flight trilogy, is absolutely marvelous music to be able to feel in oneness with God. Both Tony O'Connor and Herb Ernst stay in meditation during the time that they create their music. And Herb Ernst, of course, is a classical pianist, so he's brought the keyboard very much into a New Age classical rendition as he creates his music. So it's wonderful. You shouldn't have it too loud. You should have it so that it just goes along with your meditation or self-suggestive healing. Now that we have done that first phase of suggestive healing, we are now going to move in for our spiritual healing. And so the next phase, of course, 5, is the prep for spiritual healing. And spiritual healing is done through our ability to merge in oneness with God. The more easily that we can do this, the more completely that we can do this, the greater is the power of the healing that will come upon us. And so we take ourselves now back to that moment, and we're going to put some music on that would be conducive for the healing, and we'll be using Tony O'Connor's Tape 2 at this point in order to get the feeling that I want you to have. So close your eyes and let us begin with the magic of spiritual healing. Let us take ourselves back to that relaxed state upon the sea. As we feel ourselves sinking deeper and deeper into the waves, not going in the water, but resting upon it and going into deeper and deeper relaxation, we find ourselves moving. And as we move, we look up at the sky. And we breathe in. We breathe in the sky and the white puffy clouds. And as we inhale, we bring that through our body. And as we exhale, we allow ourselves to flow toward the sky. Breathe in. I like to call it the heavens. Breathe in the heavens. Exhale, allow it to flow through us. And now we're beginning to feel lighter, almost as light as the air itself. And we find that we are no longer upon the sea, but floating upon the white puffy clouds. With the golden orb of the sun shining down upon us. And as we journey thusly, we become aware of a greater light. Flows all around us. It is a light of a light, seemingly white, seemingly bright, but radiating all around us. we have entered the sacred realm of God. And as His light flows around us, we pray, O Heavenly Father, I've come to you for healing. May my soul be one with your Spirit. May your Spirit flow through my body and heal me of my disease. Forgive me that I'm human and do not live perfectly always. And grant me your strength, your power, your healing. Now we breathe in, and as we breathe in, we breathe in the Spirit of God. Do not think that you are not worthy. He created you. You would not exist if you were not worthy. Breathe in. Feel His Spirit enter your body. Feel your oneness as if you're embraced. Even more powerfully than your lover's arms. Embraced in the light of the universe. Embraced in His Spirit. As we close this self-healing treatment, to pick up for a brief review next week, I ask that you please join me once more aboard the Nautilus as we travel from heaven to earth.